Good morning, good morning. What is going on? How are we doing today? Hope we're all having a great Thursday out there. Man, we had some data come out this morning, although market didn't really do all that much. Looking at the SPY, it is falling off a little bit today. Guess it is moving down a little bit. If we go to the economic calendar, durable goods and the GDP growth rate ended up coming out. GDP growth rate came in better than expected. They were expecting 3.3%. It came in at 3.8. It's pretty solid to see. Durable goods orders, 2.9. Okay. Really not that bad, but nonetheless, stocks are down. I think stocks are down mainly just because of the selling pressure increasing, the time of the year. Jobless claims tumbled to 218,000. Now that one sucks. They were expected to have 235,000, so... And it's down 14,000 from last week's figure. GDP at 3.8% sounds solid, though, but again, jobless claims do play a big factor right now. Anything with jobs is huge in the market right now. As many of you know, Mason loves it. He says, my SPY puts. Yeah, it is moving pretty good to the downside here. We can see over the past 3 trading days, there have been 3 significant legs to the downside. We have one leg there, the second leg here, and the third leg this morning. 3 significant legs to the downside. And I actually love the way in which the SPY started falling, too. It looks like a perfect setup. It's like a slide off, consolidation slide. So you have the first slide, you have that consolidation, you have the second slide, you have consolidation, and then you have the third slide. Very consistent to the downside. I do expect this setup to start to see a support bounce here soon. Watching for supports today. First one I'm watching, 650, 630. There is a decent support close to 657, so watch for that one as well, but just keep it in mind. Got some January 16th 680s a couple days ago. Ooh. 680s, wow. Those must be on fire right now. SPY's really tanking it off. Tanking down here. Wax said trading the open. Tips on QQQ are welcome. Well, the main thing with the open today is that QQQ is pretty close to support at 590. So as it approaches there, you need to be ready. With how much SPY and QQQ pulled back already today, you're going to have to be ready for a support bounce. If you see a support bounce, don't get too surprised. Michael's going to short Oklo. You can still short it as the day goes. Just be careful. Maybe look for an entry at the 120 resistance. Just make the entry a bit smarter. Not anymore, though, he said. It's not really up that much if you think about it. It would actually be a really cool setup to hit resistance and fall. Tesla was green yesterday, one of the only stocks in the S&P green. This morning, that is not the case. My word, especially at open. Look at that first initial 1-minute candle. That is quite the sell-off. Poet's killing it, though, Steve and Michael said. Poet, again, coming into play. What's up, guys? Poet, 6.70. That is a critical overhead resistance here. Oh, it's going off, Michael said. Hey, here we go. Mason is crushing it on these SPY puts. The 680s. Yeah, oh yeah. Wow, look at it open now. Man, SPY kept selling off all the way down to our next support of 650, 630. It literally just touched our support. Yesterday's sell-off was fun. Once 662 started giving out, man, it was a nice sell-off coming into play. Juan says, let's see it. 589 on QQQ. It's almost there. Got right through, or through 590.60, 590.50, all the way down to 590. How's the daily look? Oh yeah, starting to turn over a lot harder. Wonder if we'll actually see a real sell-off start to finally happen. Like a decent pullback. I'm not talking about a pullback like if we look at the QQQ daily chart. See how we had some pullbacks on the way up here, like July 31st, August 1st, little 2-day pullback. You know, right here from August 13th to August 20th, we had like a 7-day pullback. Again, though, it's not that crazy. It's just a very small drop-off. I wonder if we're going to get like a nice acceleration down, or if it's just going to be another small drop. We've already had 3 straight red days. Yeah, Autumn, SPLG is pretty simple. It's kind of like, it's just like the SPY. It just has a better expense ratio, which makes it cheaper to own for the longer term, but nothing too crazy with it. It literally just follows the SPY, the S&P 500, of course. If you watch SPY, you're essentially watching SPLG. $5.89 on QQQ, though. Let's go back to it really fast. 5-minute chart. Pretty big pullback there. Oh, yeah. 590 selling down. Yeah, a lot of people like to hold that in their longer-term portfolios, Autumn. SPLG. Let's go look at it really quick. I'll do a comparison with you real fast. Let's go from the April lows. Essentially the low from April to the high recently. SPLG rose about 38%. The SPY from the April lows to the high rose about 38%. Pretty spot on. Pretty spot on. Same amount of profits as the SPY. Very similar movement, of course. I wonder what the correlation is down there. In the bottom right. Oh, SPLG has a super strong correlation of 1. That's funny. I thought it was going to be 0.99, but it's literally 1. VOO is another one that people like to watch a lot. With the SPY, of course. I think it has a slightly higher expense ratio than SPLG. I wish the correlation would load. Trading Views Getting slow on us here. Sheesh, look at those 5-minute candles here on the SPY, guys. 3 straight 5-minute candles falling off in a pretty bad way. It's a pretty nasty drop off there at open. Watch for 655 support. That is my next major support level coming up on the SPY, 655. What an acceleration, though. Tesla to 410, Aller said. 410. You're looking for a big drop, aren't you? That would be really nice for the put players today, 410. It's on a pretty big support level from this week. It had tried to bounce here a couple times at 424. I guess you could stay closer to 423, but good $1 range right there. Jake said traders are looking for even a pin to drop to sell off. It didn't take much to spook them. Oh yeah, definitely did not. You're right though. It's a rough time of the year. Traders were awaiting this. Oh yeah, Mason, those must be crushing it now. That was a huge move down at open for you. All right, 655. Let's see what we're going to do here. SPY's down around 0.9%, not quite to 1% even yet. We talked about some data yesterday that the S&P 500 has not had a 2% down day in 107 sessions. Quite a bit. Juan took profits and re-hedged. There you go. SPY might try to bounce here at 655. I've seen a slight green candle so far. It's been very bearish today. We're only 15 minutes into open, though. If there is a slight pop back, don't be overly surprised here. Steve's digging the jams. Appreciate that. Figured I'd switch it up a little bit here. Appreciate that, Steve. Good morning, Jack. How you doing? How you doing? Wow, Tesla's trying to make a bounce here. 424, pretty nice area of support for it. Yeah, you are a bit late today, Jack. The market opened a little while ago and things are selling off. Jobs data wasn't the best again this morning. Jobless claims tumbled to 218,000, well below estimates. It says, despite fears of labor market weakness. Wonder what we're looking like on the Fed Watch tool. Yesterday, there was a 94.1% chance of a 25 basis point cut at the next meeting at the end of October. Let's see what we're looking like now. Now there's only an 83.4% chance. That's a big difference from yesterday. Big difference. 6:30, wake up is insane. I'm half awake, Mason said. Wow. Now I know why Demure goes back to bed. I've never done it on the West Coast before. You're right. That would be a crazy one. Jack said, buy the close and sell the open. Works for real. I just hate it when I don't know what to buy at close. Autumn naps after the market. That's awesome. Oh, he works at Scottsdale National. Whoa, like a really nice golf course. Wow. I think I've only seen that one on a few videos on YouTube or something. Man, that's a nice looking course. You have to be invited to be a member there. There's actually a really nice country club by me called the Belle Reve Country Club. Mason, they're hosting the 2026 BMW Championship there. You should come to St. Louis and we should go to the 2026 BMW Championship. It's pretty cool. I know that place, Belle Reve, the one that I mentioned, is kind of like that too. Like, you have to be invited to be a member there. And I think the initiation fee is like $100,000 or something. Hell yeah. Lots of fun stuff here too, like casinos and all that. Nice roads for driving. Tesla's trying to come up off the dip today. Man, everything dipped at open. Look at that, a huge downside run out of Tesla at open there. He goes sold. Should I hold Palantir puts or just cut the losses now, Wex said. Hold Palantir puts or just cut the losses now. Let's go check the daily. Daily looked pretty good. I'd say it's a good one to keep holding here. I would think that Palantir gets to resistance today and fails to break out. This is a huge resistance coming up on Palantir. It's rejected here a few times. As it gets towards there today, there could be another rejection coming in. I don't know exactly what position you have, Weck, but at the end of the day, puts look pretty solid as long as resistance holds up here around 180. I wouldn't sell them right at resistance or just ahead of it. Mason's going to the Cardinals game later. It's a hard choice because my Dodgers are in town versus the Diamondbacks, but it's football season. Oh, wow. That is a tough one. I guess if you think about it, though, you can watch the Dodgers a lot, right? Lots of games. It's probably harder to get to an NFL game. But yeah, Seahawks versus Cardinals. They have it pretty dead even tonight. The spread's 1.5. You saw the lines were close. I have a bad position. I just bought puts before it popped. Typical, Wex said. You got to watch those support levels very closely, Weck. It looks like Palantir was getting very close to a big area of support whenever you bought those puts. That's something I would be careful of. Obviously, it could have sold off and sold under that point, but, you know, we have to respect some of these larger levels. It didn't quite get there, but it was very close. My dad's from Jersey, so his family were Dodgers fans when they were in Brooklyn. Wow, that was a long time ago. As a Sox fan, I need a second team to root for. Yeah. Me too, as a Cardinals fan, right? I can't believe how bad they've become now. Check Boeing today. Palantir slightly back up. Nothing too crazy. Boeing touched 212.25 support. Bounced right up off of it. Look at Boeing on the daily. I'm really waiting for it to turn over here. It's straddling a key area of support, and it's really failed to get a good breakout going. So we're seeing a pretty big rejection come back into play. Luis said, I'm an Angels fan. I can't ever get my hopes up with my team. Especially with Ohtani gone now. And Pujols. At least you have Trout, but I don't know if that's a good thing anymore. Palantir, nice pop back. Man, I really wish Palantir would have sold off a lot more at open. I'm sure Weck thinks that too. Intel's up 2% here. They had that nice move yesterday at the end of the day. Kind of a weird thing. They approached Apple. Pretty strange whenever you hear headlines that a company approached another one about investing in them. Imagine that. They go up to Apple. They're like, please invest in us. It was a pretty big article at the end of the day yesterday, though. Actually, I'm guessing I should cut these Palantir puts. Again, you'll need to be a bit patient with them. I'm not sure how much you're down. You should stick to your stop loss strategy that you had whenever you entered the trade, really. There shouldn't really be like these emotional questions, Wack. Like how you're saying, like, I'm guessing I should cut these. Like, before you even enter, there should be some point that if the stock goes past that, you automatically cut, or you just have a straight stop, one or the other. But the emotional questions, like how you're guessing and stuff, should not happen. There should be something figured out before you enter the play. There should be no guessing. It blew past your stop instantly? Well, then you need to cut. Then you need to get rid of it. But if you set it up in the correct way, I would try to use 180 as resistance here, if possible. 180, again, very large resistance. I would try to allow it to play out to that point, but again, you got to respect your stop loss. You can't just start blowing up your account because, you know, you want to hold it to 180, right? But if it makes sense for your trade, then as long as your account is okay and it's not going to kill you. Poor Tessie selling back down 4%. That was quite the pullback from yesterday. Tesla was really outperforming a lot of the market as it popped up yesterday, but today it gave it all right back, closing down 4%. That was a rough drop-off. It's pushing the low of the day again here. Is another big reason why we're back on it. It's getting pretty close to that bottom. It's going to be hard to have all the entries correct, Weck, but we have to keep the risk to a minimum at least and respect the stops. Wrong entries will happen. You'll probably lose, like, at least in the beginning here, at least like 45% of your trades or more. So keep that in mind. You'll probably lose like 45 out of 100. Just based off stats. Maybe even more. Understanding the stats, though, is a big deal. Kate said it took him 2+ years to get it right, but it's worth it. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. That's another good point. It takes a lot of time. What's up, Demure? Good morning, good morning. Lost some money today, sadly. Oh, well. That's good to hear. Palantir again, bouncing higher today. Kind of strange. Especially considering that the market dipped so hard at open. Palantir has not cared at all. Let's bring up the watch list here. What's leading it today? XPEV being up 6%. NEO's second on the watch list, up 3.5%. Pretty straight up from open. It's a nice jump by NEO. Yeah, pretty nice. 3.7% runner. Okay. Pretty solid. Peloton, PTON, 2.27%, up to 8.70. Nice jump. It's at the top of my watch list. Again, though, the stocks moving up today aren't necessarily the best. Now, MP Materials has had some short-term bullishness to it. There was a nice pop with MP Materials recently. We go to the 5-minute chart. We can see lots of good price action lately. Past couple trading days, it did sell off. It's trying to pop up again now today. It actually just touched major resistance. It might be tough to get through here, though. That's going to be a big level today. Right at 73 for MP. Actually, if you're looking for a put play, this might be a decent one considering how large the resistance is. I don't love it, but it is a big level here. Absolutely, it's a long game. I love Stocked Up because it's all about discipline and limits. So if you're here, stick it out. Learn every day in Lits, and it gets good. I love it, Kate. Thanks for the words there. Amin said, what do you think about ICT Concepts? ICT Concepts? Is that a stock? Never heard about that, Amin. Information and communications technology. Is that what you mean? ICT, Inner Circle Trader. Is that what you mean? I have no idea there. Sorry about that. I have not read into those very much, Amin. You probably heard about that somewhere on a video or something. Just, just be aware it's a strategy or something that, I have never looked into, unfortunately. Intel moving. Love it. Love that move from open there. Oh, yeah. 32.50. Great action today. You're up 90% on Wolf, down to 60% now today, Amin said. That's not too bad. I wouldn't be sad. Wouldn't be too sad there. You're looking at TeraWolf, WULF. It's hard to turn off Nvidia or Intel with how good it's been moving. Can you talk about App, please? App lovin'. It's very overextended. I'm watching it to the downside here. I like the way it moved down in pre-market today. It is touching resistance here at open as well. This will be a big resistance range to keep on the radar. 632 to 636. It is huge. Very large. Nvidia's recovering. Jake said, how is the Mag 7 today? Looking at it, it's actually not too bad. There was a few drop-offs in pre-market. It seems like a lot of these stocks are flat and choppy from open, though. Not terrible. Not terrible by any means. That's probably why the SPY is making its comeback. SPY probably won't get back to break even, though. That would be a huge recovery. If you're just now joining up, destroy the like and also subscribe. Let's go, though. Those likes help us out quite a bit. Get them going.
All right, all right, all right.
Nvidia looks really good on the Mag 7 in the bottom left. Unfortunately, the rest of the stocks are a bit lackluster on the price action. Juan said the calls just don't gain like the puts. Keep in mind with stocks moving higher lately, puts probably were a bit underpriced. So as they start to drop off, at least in the options world, puts can be very advantageous, very fun in the way that they move sometimes, for sure. Can you check the drone stock, Oklo? Yeah, Oklo does two things. Let's see. They design and deploy small modular nuclear reactors, or SMRs, called the Aora Powerhouse, and they develop technology for recycling nuclear waste. I didn't think that yeah, Oklo is not a drone stock, unfortunately, but I will check it out nonetheless. It's a very popular nuclear stock. Let's see, it dropped a little bit today. It's down 9.2%. It's pulling back. I don't like it right now. I think the stock is way too overextended. Way too overextended in the short term for me. Which is fine, you know, sometimes there were stocks and crazy setups and then they just slow down, and that's kind of what we're seeing now with Oklo. Today it actually fell 9%. Yesterday it started to turn over. Don't be surprised. What's up, J-Bass? Good morning. Pretty good, J-Bass. Pretty good. All things considered, I guess. It has been a while. At least on the stream. Gollum said drone was metaphorically said because its average fluctuations may be 10% plus or minus. Yeah. Those plus or minus 10% moves are pretty wild. We actually have the stats right here. Over the past year, the average percent rise with Oklo is 7.2%. That is pretty high. And the average percent drop is 4.3%. Those are pretty rough numbers there. Those are pretty high. Definitely volatile. Definitely a volatile stock. Shazini says, if you're running leaps, you probably don't care too much about today's price action. Yes and no. Yes and no. You probably shouldn't care too much about it right now if you're running leaps. Look at how the SPY on this overall run-up has had tons of periods where it will pull back just like this and then bounce higher. Pull back just like this, bounce higher. Pull back just like this, bounce higher. Pull back, higher. You know, generally off of these pullbacks is where we start to see the bigger run-ups. We can even see over the past few weeks, SPY has even had some pullbacks mixed in on the way up. I feel like that's what's going on right now. I'm not necessarily convinced that this is where we see a true downturn. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Now, if the SPY over the next few days starts breaking under 652 and then especially 650, that's where I'll start to shift a lot more and become a lot more bearish. But I do like this 652 support, and even over the past couple days, 654 has held up extremely well. If we go to like an hourly, see how SPY tested this wick over here from September 17th. That test this morning was pretty solid. We're getting a bounce back. Now, as it bounces back, watch for these resistances to come into play. 659.50, 660. If those hold up as resistance, that's where I feel like we could see a much larger drop-off happen. Bit strange, though, on the recovery today so far. We're in the Wumbo pattern. For those of you that are SpongeBob connoisseurs, what's up, Yvonne? Can you talk about IONQ? Sure thing. IONQ. Very, oh, wow. Oh, no. Again, another stock that is very overextended right now. It's one that it could keep going up, but I lean that this stock is going to be falling back off a little bit. Reminds me of AppLovin. You know, very similar pattern. Straight to the upside. Now we're starting to see a bit of a pullback happen. Now, even if this stock pulls back to $50, it'll still be a great year for the stock. But I would be very wary. I'd watch for a pullback and, you know, be ready for a possible support bounce back here. Rigetti. Somebody requested a book map on us. Rigetti is another stock, very overextended, very similar to those two other patterns that we just checked. Go check AppLovin really fast here. How's the SPY looking? Not bad. SPY. Trying to really recover up today. There's another extension. We're up to 658. Let's see 659.50 hit. It's a pretty crazy move today, I gotta say. Great drop it open. I hope you, I was about to say, Mason, I hope you took profits on your SPY puts. Either way, you're up so much. Or you're up a good amount either way. This is what I was getting at. Tom, do you think Meta's undervalued? Steve said. Wow, that's a good question. That is a good question. I do not think it's undervalued. If anything, it's probably slightly overvalued. But we have to keep in mind that Meta is a company that has a serious outlook on the future, right? They're trying to develop augmented reality glasses and, you know, interactive glasses, whatever you want to call them. They're making strides on things in the future that are pretty exceptional, I would say. So there's always more potential for growth there. It's probably, like I said, slightly overvalued at today's prices. But if they get a little pullback coming in, there could be a point where they get advantageous again. I can't believe Meta still had that drop off in 2022. How large it was, how much it fell down, and then how much of a recovery that we've witnessed the past couple of years. That is one hell of a recovery right there for Meta. Almost couldn't even believe how much it's ran up. I got to give a shout out to Hunter. He was really buying up Meta down there and telling everybody to buy it. I remember he bought it whenever Jim Cramer cried on television. Jim Cramer literally cried on live television about Meta stock. Let me see if I can pull up this video for you guys. Yeah, oh yeah, it's a popular one. It's a popular one. Okay, here we go. Let's pull it up. You guys are about to see a grown man cry on live television over a stock.
Free cash flow last year, 9.5 billion, now less than 1 billion. Okay, let me say this about this. I made a mistake here. I was wrong. I trusted this management team. That was ill-advised. Hubris here is extraordinary. And I apologize.
Okay. What did you get wrong?
Okay. We'll watch another one. That one was not loud enough for my liking. Let's see if this one's...
I continue to believe in my contacts at Facebook that Reels is going to blow everybody away, and that this stock, which my travel trust owns, by the third quarter is going to put up great numbers, and people who are selling it now are going to be very wrong. Okay, let me say this about this. I made a mistake here. I was wrong. I trusted this management team. That was ill-advised. Hubris here is extraordinary. And I apologize.
My God. We're wrong. Oh, my God.
Mortimer, your brother's not well. We better call an ambulance.
Fuck him! Now you listen to me. I'm not trading Rio.
What the hell? I didn't know that they were going to turn on trading places or whatever. That's funny. All right. You guys get it, though. Pretty funny scene with them crying there on TV. Pretty rare to see someone do that with Meta. I had no idea that was going to come on at the end either. That's funny. Jake, there actually used to be a ticker on the market called SGIM. Short Jim Cramer, essentially. I think it had to go off the market because it didn't perform the best. But nonetheless, there are definitely lots of groups that try to do the opposite of Cramer, that's for sure. Looking at Meta right now, though, it probably is slightly overvalued. I would think you could wait for a larger dip to enter, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it was literally ticker symbol SJIM. Let me pull up some tickers here. Yeah, here. Bloomberg still has articles about it. Or still has a page up on it. Hey. I already subscribed. What the hell? There we go. It doesn't like being on this page. Yeah, Inverse Kramer Tracker ETF, SGIM. I always liked it because it sounded like Slim Jim, but... Look at IREN, Michael said. Irene, up 1.74% today. Not bad again. IREN had a nice move yesterday at open. Today it dipped into open and has moved pretty well since. Which is a better setup, IREN open or JD? Let's go see open door here. Open door. 5.5%, pretty nice movement here. You said IREN open or JD? IREN and open have essentially the same setup here. Let's go see JD. Ooh. All three of these stocks have been recovering up this morning. I got to go with JD. If you're making me pick one of the three, I think JD has a better setup than the other two. It's a pretty big deal there with JD. That's a good pop. IREN is running. I'm very worried about overhead resistance on IREN, though. As it's moving up, I'm worried it's going to hit resistance and slow down. I would say IREN looks better than Open Door does. If I had to pick between those two, I like IREN's setup up into resistance a bit more than Open Doors, but both stocks are running close to resistance. Even JD is, if we're being honest. JD is also very close to resistance, but I like the prospect of JD breaking out here a bit more. It's already tried to break this level a couple of times this week, and this is like the third test now, so maybe third time's the charm, right? It's possible. He said, K, I'm all in. Rick said, make sure your daughter's out of earshot whenever you play Kramer. Remember, she's like a sponge at this age. You don't want her carrying his insight with her for the rest of her life. I know, right? I told you guys the story about when my daughter was born, right? If you didn't know, you're about to know. Whenever my daughter was born, literally, like, as my fiance was giving birth, CNBC was on the TV. And I'm not even kidding, like, Jim Cramer was on the TV, like, as I was holding my daughter right after birth. It was crazy. It was crazy. That her very first television show was Mad Money with Jim Cramer. It was pretty wild. I always tell people that. It's crazy to say that's been almost 2 years now. 2 years. Time is flying. Let's go see Palantir. Wow, that would be pretty commendable to paper trade for 2 straight years. That would That's going to be wild to hear. Palantir had a nice run this morning, though. All the way back up to 182 now. That's a pretty critical resistance overhead. Keep your eyes on 182. Now you see how bad I am at picking direction, Wex said? What? Oh, because of Palantir puts. I get you. The 180, 179 really held up there, yeah. Imagine if you stuck with your original stop loss that it blasted through and you sold out right away. It would have been a lot better, probably. You know, Wex, sometimes I've wanted to try that strategy out. I've never really done it, but every once in a while, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll try it. Bought some ABAT yesterday. ABAT. Palantir is rejecting at resistance. Be ready for a possible downturn here. 182 is huge, especially since we got past 180. That is critical. You're in the long term from 2021, just couldn't discipline yourself. Probably how it feels for everyone. I think the intuition comes over a long time. It definitely does. It takes a long time. Longer than a lot of people think. Took me around a year and a half, 2 years. I used to be the worst overtrader. I would do sometimes 100 trades a day, literally. Those were on futures, though. But Kate was there too. I know it's too fun, right? You can't keep SPY down, it seems, Autumn said. SPY's already back, yeah. It's still down on the day, but we'll see, Autumn. This 659.50, 660 resistance is critical here. Market's humbling you hardcore. It'll do that. It'll do that. TSLA, Tesla. Attempting a recovery here, 424. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water. 1 sec. Make sure you guys like up the stream if you haven't done so yet. Helps us out a ton. 1 second. Alrighty. How's Bank of America and the banks today? Wow, making a comeback. BAC to the upside. JP Morgan also up. Moving up in a pretty good way. Dang, you guys actually made me feel so much better. I was thinking I was behind for 4 months in. Oh, yeah. Still a baby to the game, for sure. Sounds good, Demure. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining up, man. I know today not the greatest day like yesterday, but still. Thanks for joining up, and have a great rest of your day, Demure. Go dig us a hole or two. You'd actually be happy, Demure. I was watching videos last night about M36 Jacksons. I thought that would be funny. I was thinking about you while I was watching it. Yeah, they were talking about how they started implementing them and the Germans had no idea and thought that they were like M10s or something at the time. And it freaked them all out. They said that when their tanks started getting blown up, they really knew it was the end. All right, Demure, get out of here, man. Have a great one. I'm not sure, Ryan. I would actually have to check. I believe I have the, I just have the normal plan. It's not the best one. It's not the worst one. It's like right in the middle. Yeah, there are differences. Some of them let you look back at more data. Some of them allow you to put more charts on the screen. More indicators, more charts. More customization, I believe. There's quite a few things. If you go to their website, they'll show you the differences for every plan, of course. Just wait for it to go on sale. They'll be doing a Black Friday sale here in about a month or something. Maybe 2 months. But once they start running like the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale, you'll get it super cheap. So be ready for that. I wouldn't buy it unless you were at, unless it was on sale. Oh yeah, TradingView has crazy sales. I mean, it'll even be like 80% off or something. It's an insane sale that they run. Tom, when you hit 100% on an option, are you more than likely cashing out? Understand if you can't answer. Yeah, you know, that's a great question, Steve. You know, it's a tough question, but it's one that has to be answered in a logical way. And whenever I mean in a logical way, it might not make a lot of sense, but nonetheless, if you hit 100% on an option, you don't necessarily have to cash out right away. You know, again, it's a big number in people's minds that they look at and they say, okay, I'm up 100%, I'm locking it in. That could be the case. Let's say, though, that, you know, let's say that you're swinging some, I don't know, let's just say you're swinging some Apple call options, right? Like, let's just say that you were buying on the April lows and you noticed it like triple bottoming down here, and on one of the dips, you know, you ended up picking up some Apple leaps, okay? Now let's say that Apple starts rising, right? You might start to get up 100% right here where I'm pointing, right? You might start to get up 100% at that point. But we're watching Apple, right? And we're watching a lot of stocks recover up this year. So, you know, you watch some of these overhead resistances like this one that I'm pointing to, like 250, or even the high of 260. You know, you could be targeting some of those. So again, if you're targeting something on the chart, you don't have to take profits at 100% just because it hit 100%, right? If you think and your thesis supports that the stock will keep going, it would be good to keep holding. Now, with that being said, if it doesn't keep going, you might need to start to stop out. It doesn't mean that you need to take 100% profits. You might stop out at 50%, right? Because it might pull back a little bit, something like that. You'll have to create a scenario where what I would do is run some type of trailing stop loss. It doesn't need to be something perfect, but like, again, I wouldn't let that get back to even by any means. I wouldn't hold it too long. You'd have to figure out some percentage, like, okay, I'm up 100%. If it pulls back, you know, we're exiting at 80%. We're exiting at 50%, 30%. Who knows, like, how long you want to let it go, right? But you do not have to take profits at 100% at all. That would probably kill a lot of your better gains, if I'm being honest. You'll probably really limit yourself. Now, I'm not saying that this has to be the case for every trade, right? Especially if you're scalping. If it's a scalp, generally 100% is pretty solid. You know, I would say if it's a quick in and out style trade, 100%, easily you could take profits there. I hope that helped answer it, but what about when it comes to Poet? P-O-E-T? You know, again, like, Poet is on a huge uptrend here. It's already tested the overhead resistance 2 times, and it's coming up for another retest here. I don't know exactly what you're in, Steve, so it's hard to say because I don't know your exact position. If you give me more info, I'll try to help you out some more. I would say with Poet's volatility here, you know, it's getting closer to resistance again. I would think that given that it's all the way back up through $6 again, that it could continue a bit higher here, up to around $7.50. The big question is, though, is if we pull back to $5.60 or $5.50 or even $5.75, how would your position look? You said $6 strike, expiration January 16th of 26. Nice. Nice. In the money. So let's say Poet pulled back to $5.75. How would your position look, Steve? Would that be something that you would have to stop out of at that point? Because it could probably pull back that much, quite a bit. You know, it could easily, just given by normal fluctuation, you know, it could pull back to that pretty easily. Just with volatility. With Poet, I would definitely have like a hard mental stop at like 575. But again, though, only if it makes sense for your risk. Only if it makes sense. In a realistic sense, if Poet starts breaking under $6, it'll probably be like game over for it. So, at least in the short term. I'm glad you have time on that, though. Like, you could hold longer. It's just you got to watch these lower supports. It's easier with shares where you don't have to really worry about the timing aspect, but again, we're doing options, so. Oh, you are in the big money trade. I was curious if that's what you were in or not. Nice. Yeah, I saw that one there. Where'd it go? There it is. Entered July 29th. A little bit of an early entry there, but awesome. Is SPY going down or up? Mr. Charles said. SPY. So far today, it's been recovering up pretty well. I don't really see it getting through this resistance by much. 659.50 is pretty critical, but we also have 660 and 661 resistance here overhead. And I believe that the SPY will reject at one of these. I don't see it totally getting through there. Goose sold a Tesla call expiring at 442. Now, it's very likely that it'll expire. Not making any money on the shares, though, LOL. Yeah, definitely not on the shares, but that's why you're selling those calls for that extra premium, right? That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Goose. I like the name, too. On my baseball team back in the day, there used to be somebody that we called Goose. It is beautiful. There we go. No problem, Charles. Thank you. Man, MP has been straight up today, 14%. Bank of America straight up as well. But yeah, sheesh, MP Materials. Open Doors coming up too. It's up 8%. Still trying to scramble higher here. Intel's almost hitting 5%. Now, they were up a bit more, but they pulled back. Love that morning run, though. Yeah, seriously, Autumn, right? Pretty crazy. Aller said Tesla's about to drop more. It is rejecting hard at 430. I'm kind of with you there. That looks pretty bad. Pretty rough, pretty rough. Man, Tessie's starting to really pull back there at 430. That's a pretty nice setup back to the downside, if we're being honest. Very nice. Seems like a good pullback opportunity there. It's too bad, too, because Tesla's been so hot lately, but pullbacks do happen. Embrace them or wait for a bullish time in the market, right? Alrighty, guys, we're going to go ahead and call the stream there today. Appreciate everybody for joining up this morning. A lot of good action out there. I actually liked a lot of the price action today. I don't know about you guys, but I loved a lot of these moves. Intel, Open Door, MP. Man, getting some good action out there. Glad to see it. A lot of downside action, too. Don't forget. Out of some stocks. Watch a MicroStrategy down, or just strategy, MSTR. Pulling back. On the daily, actually, pretty rough pullback. Coinbase. Been watching them to the downside recently as well. Little pullback this morning. Alrighty, let's go. Thank you, Kate, So You, Autumn, Goose. Appreciate everybody. Even the lurkers out there. Thanks for turning us on, listening to us in the background, etc. Let's go. 2 trading days left if you count today. Tomorrow will be a fun one. Make sure you're here for the live tomorrow morning as well. Other than that, I will talk to you later. See you in the Discord today. Have a great one.